Welcome back, Sunday Society, to another episode of Taking Back Sunday. We are very excited because today we are going to talk about the most simple thing, but also very complex.
Yeah.
Happiness.
Happiness. Little Al Green.
And can I just give an honorable mention to Bianca's earrings?
Hey.
I love them.
Little gingerbread men.
Yeah, I'm
They're
going to
our
have to get on
co-host.
the earring train because I have 2 holes now.
Yes.
And I just am so basic.
See, I still use the ones that they pierced my ear with because I love them so much.
Yeah.
But I keep them in and I sleep with them at night.
I just felt like they weren't matching with other things. And so
they
I'm
really
like,
don't, but I love them and I sleep with them because they have that covered back.
They do.
And that
Yeah.
I like that. The other ones I don't. And I don't sleep with these in because they're so healed that they're not going to close up on me. But anyway, yeah.
So we're going to jump into the fun things and the not so fun things, all the things about happiness. But before we do, I have a question for you. Would you rather have endless money but no meaningful relationships, or would you rather be surrounded by genuine love and support and just have the bare minimum?
Well, that's the life I live. So I'm choosing that one.
Right?
I have no money, but my heart is full.
So I think there have been people in, history that have had all the money and nobody.
Yeah.
And on their deathbed, they've said, like, this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. We'll talk. I think we have an episode planned about the stages of life. And that is an end stage where it's like,
trying to see what
regret.
Yeah.
Something about regret.
Yeah,
And it's a lot of regrets are that you can't buy happiness.
You can't buy happiness. So we're going to jump into it. So grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's take back Sunday. So Bianca, what would you define happiness as?
I mean, at the end of the day, it is just being surrounded by people that I love and knowing that I am safe, I am healthy, and I want to say happy, but how do you describe happiness without using the word?
Content.
Content.
I would say
thriving.
Content is a big word for me. Like happiness and content. Like I'm content where I am in this stage of my life.
Yeah. In the most positive of ways, Yeah. Not settling, but content because you love where you are in your life.
Well, and people can kind of confuse pleasure and deep contentment. And like, what is the difference between that? So, for example, in my addiction, all the, little neurotransmitters in my brain when I was in my addiction was sending me these wonderful little things because I was, that dopamine. Pleasure.
Yeah.
And I felt happy. But at the end of the day, I wasn't happy and I wasn't content and I wasn't okay where I was in my life. And everything around me was kind of falling apart. But it felt so happy in that moment.
Right.
So I definitely feel like you can experience pleasure and not really experience like complete happiness and contentment.
Yeah, because I feel like pleasure is fleeting.
Yeah.
And happiness is long lasting.
Yes.
So, when you strip away all the fineries of life and you only have you and the people that you've chosen in your life, do you still feel that joy?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, I think you've made it.
So when have you experienced like happiness, but like short term, like where you felt pleasure, but then all of a sudden it's like that's over and you're like, wow, I'm not that didn't fill my cup
really
like I
wasn't
thought I was.
As much. I mean, I feel like the dating world is like that because you're like, oh, this guy's being really nice. And you're like, oh, never mind. It's literally the meme where it's like,
or you're like, oh, I went on a nice date. And then a week later, you're like, yeah, he ain't the one.
He ain't it. It ain't it. It's because I can't describe it. I can't explain it. I feel like it's almost like the shiny and the new wears off. Whenever that kind of fades away, you're like, okay, this is now routine and this is something that I expect every single day.
Yeah.
Is it still fun? Is it still exciting? Is it still filling your cup? And the dating scene, honestly, in general, is not filling my cup.
So we know with science that our brain chemistry works that, when we feel happiness, we have serotonin and dopamine that is running through us that is like, oh, that feel good. And that's what I was talking about with, addiction
Yeah.
is that I had that dopamine and that serotonin's like it's like whoop whoop whoop, this is good.
Overdrive.
And it feels so good, but we also know that is not, while it can show that we're happy and it like can increase when we're happy, that is not the sign of true happiness.
Right. It's just a biological
it's a chemical response.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So with that, like everybody has like a baseline of where they are in their happiness. So my happiness is driving to work or driving in the car, no one else in the car. I'm listening to a podcast or listening to music and I just feel like this. That's where I would consider like I'm happy.
Homeostasis is what they call that. That you're just
baseline.
You're at a baseline.
And then, we have things that bring up our happiness and, and that serotonin, that dopamine are going. And so we feel that. And then we have times where we're at that baseline and things are not good and it brings us down. So, being able to kind of temporarily affect that baseline for you should be happening on a daily basis. So for example, say you wake up in the morning and you're at baseline or maybe even a little under baseline, you're waking up, you have to work or whatever, but then you see your dogs and you're like, morning, Tunya.
Yeah.
Immediately goes up.
A spike. Yeah.
Yeah. And your happiness is like, woo. So the point is that I feel like you cannot truly understand happiness within yourself unless you've found that baseline.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are not at a baseline because, whether it's a mental health thing or their world, the world we live in is stressful. We don't know where our baseline is.
Yeah.
So finding that baseline is really important as to understanding, what makes you happy and what doesn't.
So what you're talking about, this baseline, in college and family systems, we learned about homeostasis, that fancy word I used. And this is like your normal everyday life.
Like somebody cut me off in traffic.
Oh no, that would be down here. So no, then you've got
that's people. That's normal for me. It's like, oh, that was a bump in the road.
So then, let's say we're floating along at homeostasis and then boom, something great happens. Yep. We get engaged. Yay, we're getting married. Okay. And then we live up here for a little bit and things kind of go back to normal. And then, let's say, well, that's a little low, but, and then something bad happens and we go down, like somebody passes away or we go through like a hard time in life. And it's just about getting back up to this normalcy.
Yes.
And
scientifically, they say your happiness is the baseline.
This is it. This is homeostasis. This is the good. This is the bad.
The good doesn't actually affect your happiness. The line is the happiness. The good, just like a little extra. These little sprinkles.
These are the little, these are just the normal ups and downs of life. And then they talk about people. The reason that I was taught this is because bipolar disorder is people who never live this line right here. They're always down. Yes, there's two types. There's type 1 and type 2, and it just depends on how long they stay high and how long they stay low. So it'll look like this for them.
Yeah.
So if you know someone with bipolar disorder, it's not something they can control. And it's, anyway, that's their happiness. They're very up or they're very down.
Yes.
There's no little joys. It's all big joys or big heartbreaks. So,
and as somebody who experiences big emotions, I have felt that where it's like, I feel, if I'm happy, I feel really happy. And then if I'm sad, I feel really sad. But then at some point in my journey in life and kind of becoming an adult, I feel like that kind of evened out a little bit more.
Yeah. And you get back down to your baseline, or, maybe you're depressed and your baseline has little small things like that. Or, on a scale like this, your baseline could go up here and then you live up a little happier of a life at homeostasis. It's just, it really is. It's crazy. Like science,
it really
the science behind being happy.
I think one of the most important things to happiness, no matter where you are in your life, is a sense of gratitude. And the reason I say that is because if I am focusing on what I am grateful for, if I am focusing on what positives there are in this world, or how I can be positive in somebody's life, or how I can make a difference, all of those things that kind of go into gratitude, it's much harder to focus on the things that you're not grateful for.
Yeah. It can
literally
get very
tricking
easy.
your brain into being like, nope, I'm going to focus on, because what we focus on ultimately becomes our reality.
Yeah, what you put in is what you put out.
Yeah. So if I'm constantly focusing on the negative and feeling like this world is horrible and so, all these people don't care about me and they're out to get me, and I'm eventually that becomes my reality.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked, I think, last November about, like, we did a gratitude challenge where you just every day it's a different thing, like, you know, who's a teacher you were thankful for, or what's a movie that changed your life, or, you know, and things like
Yeah.
that. And I think even since then I will try at least once a week. There for a minute I was doing it every day, where I would write down 3 things on a sticky note that I was thankful for that morning, put it on my computer, and looked at it throughout the entire day to remind myself
I think that's a great
things,
way.
because it is sometimes about just tricking yourself into being happy.
Yeah.
But you're tricking yourself into real things, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. You're not lying. When I write down that I'm thankful for coffee, Hannah, and my dogs, it's not a lie.
Well, and you can't be a grateful for person and then also be like a negative, hateful, not generous person. Like, it doesn't work. You cannot be both.
The math ain't mathin'.
If you are genuinely trying to be grateful, you're going to be kinder, you're going to have more grace for people.
Yep.
You're going to be nicer to the people at the drive-through, whatever. It kind of just all works in this way that shifts your reality.
It's a huge shift in your mindset and then in your life.
It's crazy how we have way more control over our minds than we think we do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to also talk about, because, we talk about, happiness, but happiness doesn't always mean the same thing for everybody. So there's some different cultural views on happiness. So like in Western culture, happiness is often focused on the individual achievement, material success.
So here, like Western North America.
Yes.
And then this side of the country,
Eastern culture, it's more community and spirituality is where they measure that happiness, or that's their goal of happiness, is where they are. I feel like I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. Materialistic, I wouldn't say that I am, but success does make me feel happy. But I think it's because of the world we live in.
It's a pride thing. Like, you want to be proud of yourself. You want other people to be proud of you. In this new job, that's one of the reasons that I was even looking for something new, is because I wanted to do something that I felt proud of.
Yeah.
And what I do, I loved my work and I loved what I did, but I get to now tell people, like, I'm a director of sales at this massive corporation. I am contributing positively to people's lives, like this community of seniors. Like, I am helping them find the home that they're going to spend their last part of their life in. That feels rewarding. That brings me joy. That fills me up. And it's not necessarily the money aspect of it. It's what I get to do in this role.
Yes.
That makes me happy. That it's the success, like you said.
Absolutely. What is more important to you, achieving personal success or contributing to something bigger than yourself? Like, what would you feel like?
Such a deep question.
And it's hard, right? Because they both sound good.
Right. It just depends on if you're a big picture person.
Yeah.
Because my philosophy in life is that there's room at the table for everybody.
I agree.
So if I am being successful, I'm going to then turn around and I'm going to lend a hand to someone else and help bring them up. And I know you're the exact same way. Yeah. You've contributed to the growth and development of so many people in your life, in your role, that I think that goes to contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
In your individual success. I feel like they're both important, because you can use one to continue to develop the other, if that makes sense.
And paying the bills is like important. I feel like
paying the bills, practical.
Success, a lot of people, success is money. Money and success are not exactly the same, but a lot of people view it that way. I am happy being able to pay my bills and take care of my family and all of that, but like having meaning in what I do, I would not be happy doing what I do unless there was meaning to it. Yeah,
because at the end of the day, you can't sit, and make millions of dollars and hate what you do.
Yeah.
Because it's just not, I don't think it's sustainable.
And how can you be passionate about something? Like in my line of work, you have to be passionate. Mm-hmm. If you're not passionate, like I've worked for companies that aren't passionate about it. It's just, you're just a number.
You're clocking in every day.
The residents are just a number, and, it's just dollar signs, and you can tell, So thankfully I found a company that I absolutely love. So
Good.
So we just kind of talked about how like money cannot buy happiness, but
Right.
studies do show that money and being like secure financially does add and help with your happiness level.
Because when you don't have money, that's one of these boys.
Yeah.
That's one of these
You're
bad
like
boys.
me.
Especially when times are hard already
Yes.
and you go through a financial hardship. That's one of the biggest causes of divorce is
Yeah.
financial hardship, or the biggest leading in stress, depression,
Suicide in men.
suicide. Yes.
In men
because
especially.
because there's this innate societal expectation for them to provide, and if they
Mhm.
can't do that, they feel like they have not
Yep.
met their goal in life. They
Mhm.
can't be, they can't be happy.
Yep.
Which is couldn't be farther from the truth,
I also think that, when you have money and
Mhm.
you're having money available to you, you can do things more
Yeah.
freely that do give you the happiness that you're wanting.
And not just like vacations and this and that. You can afford therapy. You can
Yes.
afford healthcare in a more effective way. Like there's just
Yeah.
it's not just about the things
Yeah,
that you
you
can
don't
do.
have to stress about how am I going to feed my family. And honestly, you
Yes.
guys, the world that we live in, everybody that I know is in that position where it's
Mhm.
like not how can we afford to feed our family, but like things are hard
Yeah.
and things are expensive. And I say it every time, every week I go grocery shopping. I feel like I'm going Christmas shopping and not
Yeah.
grocery shopping because that's the kind of money that I spend grocery shopping.
It's insane. And there are people that probably are insecure and wondering how they're going to buy food this week for their kids.
Yes, there are people, many people in this country that are struggling with that. And so I do feel like that can affect happiness, but
Yeah.
like it's not the goal.
Right.
It's not the end goal. Money is not how you are
It's just a
happy.
resource.
It is
It's a resource you
resource.
can use
Yeah.
to contribute to your happiness.
So we kind of talked about this before, but like how do you feel like social media kind of gives us the false sense of happiness and leading into that?
Should we say it again?
Yes.
Comparison is the thief of joy, baby.
Yeah.
That is how social media snatches up your happiness.
And let's not even talk about just like our friends on social media. Let's talk about, I'm just going to put out there like the Kardashians.
Yeah.
People watch them, they tune in
Mm-hmm.
and they see these lavish lifestyles.
Yeah.
And if somebody asks me what I want to be when I grow up, I want to be like, I want to be a part of the Kardashians. Like,
right. I want to have a Christmas house like that, you know? And it's just, there's all the TikTokers and influencers that are just show like these pristine houses with all these fancy gadgets. It's the restock videos for me.
Yes.
It's the restock. I'm like, how can you afford this $1,000 a day in groceries? And speaking of the Kardashians, there was a video that's like, this is why I love Khloe, because she's so sassy. But there's a part where there's like a bowl of fruit in her house, and Courtney's like, is that just going to get restocked, or are you just going to throw that away and restock it tomorrow? And it's like, people do that.
Yes.
People are wasting so much food, and there's people that can't afford to eat.
Yes, we have so much wasteful food in this country.
Frustrating.
People say like we don't have someone said the other day that we don't have a problem with food insecurity. We have a problem with overeating in this country and
overconsuming, not even eating it, just buying it, and then it goes gross in your fridge. And I'm guilty of it.
Yep. I mean, I'll buy something or I'll make something
lettuce.
And
lettuce be going bad in my fridge all the time.
Yeah, I'll buy something, make dinner, whatever, and then leftovers are in there for a few days, and I'm like, well, this isn't good anymore. I gotta throw it out. It's like,
I'll eat it. I eat so many of their leftovers, it's ridiculous. But yeah, so social media just gives you that access to see the other lifestyles.
And it's not even always reality. We've talked about it before. I love those people on TikTok that are like, this is what my house looks like when I'm not recording, or this is what my house looks like on a day when, an average day, and it's like backpacks and shoes and papers.
It looks normal.
It looks normal.
Yeah. We love a normal house.
Pinterest, whether or not you make me feel like I'm comparing to other people, I love Pinterest.
I do too. I'll spend hours on Pinterest.
Me too. So let's address the myth that a perfect work-life balance will automatically make somebody happy.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that when I say that?
I mean, you could have a work-life balance, but maybe you don't have a good life balance, like it's not just
No, go ahead. No, you're
So
good.
it's not just like balancing, because when I hear work-life balance, I think of like setting boundaries for work so that, you know, when you're home and you're engaging with your family and you're not worried about work. That's fine. But at the end of the day, if there's chaos at home, I mean, it's not going to matter. But
Yeah. So, for example, like your work that you currently have,
yeah.
this is kind of why I pulled this. But so, your work that you currently have is really good. I will give them lots of props. They're very good about giving you unlimited PTO,
Mm-hmm.
lots of days off, wellness days during the month, all of those things. But at the end of the day, it wasn't filling your cup.
Yeah.
And so, where and why do you feel like that is? Is it just the type of work, or is that there's something that you're not getting in the the work balance
It
and the
was
life
definitely
balance?
more of the work. And it's not necessarily, and I don't mean, you know, I'm not going to talk bad about the people, the
Yeah.
managers, because I love everybody. There's nothing that could have been done differently, but it's like just the appreciation. It's just there's just a, you know, a culture from the people at the top that you just don't feel supported and appreciated. And at the end of the day, yeah, I had excellent benefits and I had excellent, you know, perks at that job. I worked from home and now I'm going to have an hour commute one way. But for me, the lack of recognition and being kind of, and this is going to sound selfish, but honestly, being compensated appropriately for the hard work that I put into that company. It sucked,
So
you know?
I have felt in places that I've worked that if I were to say I'm quitting,
Mm-hmm.
or if I died on my way to work, they'd have me replaced in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
It feels different when the people treat you like you're a person and that you
Yeah.
matter, and they want to make sure you're successful and you're
Yeah.
happy, and what can we do to support you? That makes a tremendous amount of difference.
Right. And like
I took a pay cut to go to the job that I'm at
yeah,
now. I took a pay cut.
because your mental health matters. Like how you feel at the end of the day
Yes.
matters, and there's no price tag you can put on that. And I do want to say, like, the team that I work with
Yeah.
did that. My
Yeah.
team lead did that. My manager did that. It's the people at the top that
Yeah.
don't do that. And that's where the
And
change
when
happens,
you get big
you know?
companies, sometimes that happens. You know,
Yeah.
the bigger company, you know, there's some kind of disconnect. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where this next chapter in your
Yes.
life takes you.
Yeah, me
And
too.
obviously, she's coming into my line of work, and
Your
so I'm very
realm.
excited to just be able to share in what's going on with you and what's going on
Yeah.
with me, and like how we can help each other be successful.
And
So
have a different understanding of what our days look like.
yeah,
You know, our stresses are going to be very similar.
yes,
We're basically going to morph into the same person at one point.
she literally said, I just, when am I supposed to do this or that? Now that I'm like not gonna be
That's
at
cleaning.
home
Like, when am
working,
I supposed to sweep my floors?
and I'm like, when you get home from work, like the rest of us, Bianca.
Yes, I've been very spoiled in this
Yes.
job working from home. I have a note on my phone that I have now written out a schedule for myself of like, get up, take a shower, let the dogs out, feed what every evening is the cleaning. Like, I'm going to do floors, I'm going to do laundry, I'm going to do bathrooms. Like, so because I know that it's going to be such a huge shift in my life. I am not going to have the energy that I once had after work because I'm going to be working with people in person. I'm going to be driving home. It's going to look so different. My life is going to change drastically. But I am willing to make that change because I think that it is going to make me feel better about what I'm doing, and I'm going to feel supported.
Well, and I will
the
say,
hope, honestly.
is that hour drive home and that hour.
Decompression.
Yes. So a lot of people are like, oh, I have an hour drive or whatever. But like for me, it's 45 minutes for me. I take that time to fill my cup. So
Yeah.
I'm either talking to you, I listen to podcasts, I listen to music, whatever. I go through and get me a Coke on the way home. Like I'm just getting prepared for that second shift that we have. Like, you know, getting ready for that and just taking that time to be like from the day.
Yeah. And I will say that was hard when you work from home because you don't get
Yes.
that because you're like clock out and you're right there. That is a hard balance. And that's why, honestly, like I leave my house every day because I'm like, I've been here all day. I've been working here all day. I want to
need
leave.
a break. Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm going to spend a lot more time at home. So you're going to have to start coming to my house. But no, I am excited. I do like commuting because you do have that time to unwind. And I am fortunate that my second shift does not look bad. It's just me and my dogs don't wear clothes.
Yeah.
So the laundry is just mine and I can deal with that. The mountain of laundry on my floor, it is what it is. But, you know,
Yeah.
it's not going to be,
Well, and
it's not going to be bad.
if you take, before you start the shop, if you take some time, get
I
all that
have
taken
been.
care of, then maybe you'll start like with a fresh, like, okay, this is manageable. Cause
Yeah.
that is really, I feel like this is kind of off
Off
topic,
topic.
but
Can't wait for that episode.
you know, when you start to neglect things over time, not
Mhm.
saying that you're neglecting things, but
No,
when you
yeah.
neglect things over time, I've had it happen. It feels unmanageable.
Yes. Depression
So
does that to me.
staying on top of things and keeping it, like you said, a schedule
Mhm.
keeps it so it's like, okay, ew, and if I have something come up and I can't do this today, I'll get it tomorrow. No big deal. The only problem is if tomorrow keep pushing off,
it's always the
then
next
it becomes
tomorrow.
unmanageable.
Yes. No, that happened to me at the end of October. I always get a little depressed in October and now especially at the end. And I was just not cleaning. I was just
Yeah.
not cleaning and I finally came out of it. It was literally like a fog had lifted and I was able to come back up out of my depression and clean. And I sent you
Yeah.
a picture. I was like, I cleaned.
I
And you're
know.
like, I'm so proud of you. And honestly, hearing that, I don't know why it does this to me, but it just sends me into like bliss. Like it just, that's all I want to do is to make people in my life proud of me.
Yeah.
And I just feel like hearing it, the words of affirmation makes me feel it.
Yeah. So I want you to think, and it can be from a, like childhood or adulthood, whatever, whenever. When do you? I just want you to close your eyes and imagine a time where you felt like super happy, but not because of like one exciting thing, just a happiness.
I mean, I know exactly when it was. It was probably October of 2022 when I got that job working from home. I was like 2 weeks in. And I remember sitting upstairs. I was working in the sunroom and it was warm and I was learning and I was able to just spend time with my pets and just be at home. And it felt like for the first time in a long time, I was happy. Like just perfectly content with how everything was in my life.
Yeah.
And that's the last time I felt that.
Aw.
Yeah. Because right after that is when all hell broke loose and my whole world kind of changed. And the goal is to get back there.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important too that some people like me, I'm afraid to let myself get back up there because I'm afraid of what's going to happen when I am happy and I let myself be happy because the last time it happened, the worst thing in my life happened after that. So it's like how do we navigate that where it's like I try not to let myself get too excited. I try not to let myself feel that joy because I'm afraid that it's not going to last.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that a lot of people experience. And I remember hearing it might have been Brene Brown, honestly, talking about that's such a disservice to us because we live in fear of the bad that's going to happen instead of allowing ourselves to feel happiness.
Yeah, because you can't feel happiness if you're in constant fear.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
You're always waiting, for the proverbial shoe to drop. That's
Yeah.
kind of how my life is. And we've talked about that, always doing the worst case scenario and just like, okay, things are good, but this feels sus if we're going to throw in the slang, like things are a little too good right now. When's the other shoe going to drop? And that's just, so
yeah.
I think it's just important it's okay to be happy. I feel like somebody out there needs to hear this. It is okay to be happy. You can let yourself feel the joy.
I definitely feel happy when I am at home in my comfort and like hosting, whether that's cooking a dinner or throwing a birthday party or having a get together where people come over. Like that to me is where my happy place is.
If there was a love language called party planning, that is your love language, is like party hosting.
I get so stressed out like the day before and the day of. I'm so stressed out. But the like up to that point and then once the party starts is so happy for me.
Because you get to see, it's almost like a gift. That
Yeah.
is almost like you're giving the gift of a party to people that you
Yeah.
care about.
But I like being surrounded by the people I love and just
Yeah.
spending time with them. Um,
Yeah.
Happiness also for me is just laying in bed with
Amen.
nothing to
I
do.
swear. I swear. I love to just lay in bed and turn on like Dateline and scroll on Pinterest. Like that's my joy.
Yeah. I honestly sometimes I'm like, you know how they have like living room sets that are more like you would be sitting up in bed. They're like a really deep.
Yes.
I'm like,
Yes.
I need that. So I can just it's like a huge like chase or something.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, definitely, we talked about a lot of happiness, but like, happiness really does, bring into account, the relationships that you have and the community that you're a part of. And like that can look very different for very many people, but feeling valued and
Yeah.
feeling like your presence matters definitely adds to a happiness. And I think that's probably why I feel so happy when I'm hosting or cooking or
Yeah.
whatever, is because I feel like what I'm doing in that moment is valued.
Yeah. That is important. And it ties into your love language and how you receive that. How do you know that you're valued? Well, it's because they say this or they do this,
Yeah.
So,
And then I feel like we would be, it wouldn't be right to talk about happiness if we didn't talk about like the spiritual aspect of
sure.
happiness. And so like I feel like I've been pretty open and honest. Like I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I believe in God. I believe that,
Your Jesus music is what you listen to
my
on the way to
Jesus
work.
music is what I listen to. When I die, I feel like, I'll have eternal life in heaven, like those types of things. And I feel like that adds to my happiness in just knowing that like I am in my life trying to like be, that like I don't want to say be like a Jesus, but
But
like
the best version of yourself, and you want
you're trying to
people
love
to
people
see.
like Jesus
Mm-hmm.
did. You're
Mm-hmm.
loving people and you're meeting them where they are and you're being, you're showing grace and you're helping in whatever ways. Like that's also how I feel happiness and contentment and like purpose.
Yeah. And I think that is common. And I think that people in faith often know, because you have like a goal, like what your
Yeah.
purpose is. Your
Yeah.
purpose is to live a life that is reflective of the God you serve.
If somebody told me, like somebody was like, I don't know, somebody that I would believe, that I thought like they had all the answers, came to me and was like, this isn't real, there would be no happiness for me. I
Right.
like feel like that
Because it's what's the
immediately
point?
my happiness would end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you live, because you know that is like
Like
your
if
end
this
game.
is
Like
the
end
world,
game,
is it? What?
That's a sad thought. But yeah.
Disappointing.
Yeah. Low key, not impressed.
2.5 stars.
0 stars. Would not recommend. 0 out of 10. All the notes.
But I do know that, across, the world, it doesn't matter what religion is. A lot
Yeah.
of places, religion does play a big role in
Huge.
happiness. And I honestly feel like the fellowship within my faith
Mhm.
is huge too. Like, I have that fellowship of people that if I am going through something hard, they're like-minded people that I can say, hey, can you pray for
Yeah.
me about this? Or can you, what would you do in this situation? And then you just have that group of like that community of people.
Yeah, the
And
like-minded people, like you said, like their morals are the same.
Yeah.
The expectations that they have
Yeah.
for themselves and
And I
for
don't
others
agree
are
with all of
similar.
them. There are certain things that I've like heard before. One time we were at a dinner and someone said something and I looked at Zach and I was like, not me. But it's still like you're
Yeah.
like-minded.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. But no, I do think that faith plays a huge role. That is, and honestly, it's a characteristic of resilience because you can rely on your faith when times get hard to
Yeah.
help you push through and get yourself back to that level of normalcy in your
Yeah.
life.
So in your life, like, and it might be different today than it was, 10 years ago. It probably is. But like, where do you go? Like when you were in need of getting back to that baseline or just need a little extra,
Need a little boost.
where do you go to find your happiness? Like where, if you could say like this place or these
Mhm.
people or this thing, whatever, where are those, like say top 3 of where
I
you are
already have the
happiest?
answer
Okay.
because when we talked about the therapy, we talked about the therapy episode or like whatever in our very first season where
Mhm.
I had to draw like a picture of myself and then write all the places where I felt like my best self. And one of them is your house. So I go there to find joy.
Even with my chaotic
Even with
house.
the chaos, it's so normal. It's such a normal
like
part of my
loud
life.
kids and
It
dogs
honestly,
barking. And
I love it. I love it. Sometimes Teddy, I'm like, girl, I'm gonna need you to calm down.
now we know she just has to be set up next
she
to you.
just wants to
She
cuddle.
wants to cuddle.
She's just clingy. She's got anxious attachment
clingy.
style. But so, I'll do that. I'll listen to music.
Mhm.
Coming here, actually, I'll come here to walk. I really enjoy this place.
Yeah.
Or just like being out in nature, like
It's
touching
almost
the
like
grass.
an energy force around this place.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing, but like when you get here and you step out of your car, it is like a different feeling.
Especially in the fall, like just seeing
Yes.
these trees like in the
Beautiful.
background, it really is one of the most beautiful places in this town.
Yeah.
So what about you? Like when you need a pick me up, where do you go?
So
Or what do you do, I guess?
So and it's probably the dumbest thing. If I'm feeling really down and I'm like, I need to get back to baseline or get a little bit above that, I will turn on music and I will sing karaoke in my house. It does not matter if there are 20 people in that house or if there is just me. I will
love
sing.
it.
Or I'll do it in the car. I'll like
Mhm.
pull up YouTube and like look up a karaoke song and I'll just sing. And that seems to like regulate me somehow.
Yes. I think there's a science behind that. I think I've
Maybe.
heard that like belting out songs in your car really does release endorphins and makes
Yeah.
you feel better. So like exercise, if I were in exercise, would do the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. And I do like going for a walk or like
Mhm.
getting out in the fresh air.
Physical
as long
activity.
As it's not super hot and scorching and making me feel miserable.
Yeah.
I love, that.
Yeah.
I feel like going for a drive. And I know that sounds
Mhm.
silly, but
Nope.
like going for a drive, not a purposeful drive, just a
Just
drive.
a cruise, a lap through town.
Yeah. And then of course just, being at home and just like being on my couch and chilling
Mhm.
because I don't get to do that as much as I'd like to because I'm up doing things, but just hanging out mindlessly scrolling through Pinterest or
Yep,
TikTok
that
or looking at
dopamine hit.
funny
Mhm.
videos, like all of those things really do bring me happiness.
Yeah.
And just, seeing my kids happy is like a huge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or seeing your dogs. I literally,
was gonna
every
say,
time
I
I
don't know.
come out to your house and Petunia gets so excited, it literally gives me the biggest, like, spike. She's so happy. I call her my little best friend, even though she's like my big best friend.
She big.
She a big bad girl. And she like does this thing where she hops when she's
She does her
excited.
She does like tippy tappies.
Oh, I love
where
it.
she
like
bounces.
jumps in the air and then comes back down. It's super
It is
cute.
super cute.
But yeah.
And of course my dogs. Like I go and pet my dogs.
Yeah.
Spend time with them. They do bring me joy.
Okay, well, I think we've talked a lot about happiness.
Yes.
A lot of different ways to get happiness.
I'm gonna leave here feeling happier.
Yes, me too. And just because we sat in this beautiful force field of happiness,
yes, we
today,
have. Even though it's kind of cloudy, like you're gonna see my background is kind of like the clouds have rolled in.
Yeah,
it's a typical fall day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Bring on the cloudiness sometimes because it just puts me in a chill.
Yes,
it gives me that mood like I don't have to do anything.
Yes.
I'm okay with just being here. It's okay.
Yep.
The sun's shining. I'm like I got to get up and be productive.
Yep. The sun decided to go to work, so I guess I have to.
So we are in our December episodes. So we have Off Topics is coming.
Yes, I'm so
and then we
excited.
have a Christmas episode.
We have our Christmas Am I the Grinch?
Am I the Grinch episode? Yes.
And then we're going to end 2024 with the hottest takes of the year.
Hottest takes. I have so many good ones.
They have been heating up.
Yes.
But we'll see you guys next week.
Yes.
I think it's off topic. So we're just going to sit and talk.
Oh, I cannot wait.
I can't wait either. It's going to
The ADHD in me is so excited.
It's going to be so good. So until next week, I'm Bianca.
And I'm Hannah.
And we are
Taking Back Sunday. So anyway, let's get into it. I'm Hannah.
I'm Bianca.
Nope.
Whatever. We can change it up.
Nope.
The Kraken. Oh my gosh. Okay, really quick. So I watched Pitch Perfect with the kids. In the part I always forget about this part when Fat Amy's like, the Kraken has been unleashed when
Mm-hmm.
they're at the freaking regionals or whatever, and
Yes.
there's the fight.
She's so funny.
She's like, oh, the Kraken
And
has
then
been
she got
unleashed.
skinny.